Why do we remember one thing, but not another? One subject in school, but not another. One chance encounter with a stranger, one pivotal moment in our lives, but not another. Some might have us believe it's our predefined propensity to remember certain subjects or interests over others. But what if it's about the emotions we experience during these events? Studies done by Loma Linda University show that humans are far more likely to remember emotional memories rather than neutral ones. And this is a fact I believe we don't take advantage of in our everyday lives. We're constantly searching for tips on how to better present ourselves during first impressions, whether that's for a first date, an interview, or heck, even a TED Talk. Yet there isn't one magical phrase or string of words that'll win someone over. Rather, it's how you make them feel that will make you unforgettable or just another Joe Schmo they met at the grocery store. Now, we can all remember that first impression that really mattered, that first time we were nervous to go up to someone and couldn't remember what to say. You know, back in elementary school with our first crush. These pivotal moments in our lives are only remembered because there's that strong emotion behind them for us to remember them by. My first kiss was behind the soccer net of the equipment room of the playground with Devin. Maybe you have a memory of walking down the hall and brushing arms with your crush and the butterflies that sent through your stomach. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't actually remember too many conversations I had with Devin. Yet, I remember that feeling even decades later. And so how can we leverage this fact when making first impressions in the future? Well, what are we really trying to do with first impressions? Our goal with first impressions is to convey the entirety of our life story in a brief elevator pitch of words in hopes that we can leave a positive, lasting impression on others. Now, this can come very naturally for some, but it can leave others wishing that they had done a better job. And so what's the difference? I would argue the difference is one layer. One layer of conversation is the difference. We're all used to, hi, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? What do you like to do? These surface level questions. Yet these platitudes do little to evoke emotion within us, and so we are bound to forget them the minute we leave that conversation. And so what if we could go one layer past those surface level questions and utilize our uniqueness, our context, and our curiosity in order to evoke those emotional memories rather than those neutral ones? One of the most remarkable aspects of humans is our capacity for uniqueness. By leveraging both our own uniqueness and our conversational partners, we can take the conversation and the connection that extra layer deeper. So you're at a networking event. And instead of asking and answering those same surface level questions, you know, hi, my name's Austin. I go to CU Boulder. I'm a business major. I'm graduating this summer. I like technology. What about you? We ask instead, what are you passionate about? What do you do on the weekends? In an effort to identify what their unique quality is to take that conversation the extra level deeper. And what if they replied with bird watching? Do you like watching birds on the weekend? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not actually a big fan of bird watching. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it. I'm sure in 50 years I'll be sitting on my porch in my rockers with my binoculars watching the Blue Jays go by, but right now it's not my thing. But by them saying they're interested in watching birds, they have opened up a door to a conversation. I experienced this personally when I was at the Boulder Creek Festival, right after I'd graduated high school and right before I was about to start university in China. And as you might imagine, China is what I was most passionate about in that moment, what I identified as my unique quality. And so I brought this passion to all the conversations I was having with people at the festival. But how do we find these topics to discuss with people in the first moments of meeting someone? This is where your context becomes important. Everyone is somewhere for a reason. At a networking event, people are there to mingle and get to know others, which is why it's appropriate to ask questions like, what are you passionate about? Whereas in a more casual encounter, you might have to get a little bit more creative. Such as when I was at the Boulder Creek Festival, I found myself talking to an outdoor equipment company. And at the time, I happened to know that most soft goods, such as those made for outdoor equipment companies, are manufactured in China. And as this was something I was passionate about, I decided to inquire if this is where they produce their products. And in a moment of serendipity, the guy I was talking to had been to China to oversee the production of their products. And as you might imagine, this sparked a conversation, a level deeper than surface level questions provide. But this isn't where the first impression ends. In fact, it's where curiosity comes in to close the deal. Curiosity is where we can start to make our conversational partner start to feel, to associate us with that emotional memory rather than that neutral one. Up until this point, all we focused on is understanding our uniqueness and identifying our context. Curiosity is the action of first impression, the how, if you will. Once that door to a conversation has been opened, through leveraging your uniqueness and your context, you can enter that door with curiosity and ask questions. Questions like where a company's products are manufactured. What this does is it shows the person you're talking to that you're interested, that you care about what they're talking about, and by extension, care about them. This shows them that they are the center of your attention in that moment. That's a warm feeling, right? Who doesn't like feeling like the center of attention? That's a feeling they can associate you with after you leave the conversation. This was the unintentional path I took while having that conversation at the Boulder Creek Festival. After asking a million questions to the guy at the booth, I discovered I was talking to the CEO of the company. And by the end of the conversation, he had offered me an internship. I was blown away. I had no idea that that's where the conversation was going to end when I entered it. And I left that conversation thinking, man, I got this internship because I'm doing something different. I'm not just going to a state school, I'm going to a British university in China. I thought it was because of the content of the conversation. Come to find out, 2 years later, when that internship had turned into a job, and I was reflecting on my time with the CEO of the company, saying, of course I'm glad I went to school in China. I mean, it got me this job, right? But he corrected me. He said, no, you didn't get this job because you went to school in China. You got this job because I saw that you could be passionate about something, and I knew you'd bring that passion to my company. This was my realization that it wasn't because of what I said in that moment, but rather how I said it and how I made him feel in that moment. Utilizing my uniqueness to be curious in my context. So the next time you find yourself trying to make a good first impression to someone, forget thinking about what you're going to say, and instead think about how you can leverage your uniqueness to be curious in your context, in the effort of eliciting that emotional memory over that neutral one so that you can be remembered for decades later. And heck, if all else fails, maybe just start talking about bird watching.